In this video segment, we're going to go through the recovery of a volume using the live recovery features. So, first things first, let's go set up for our actual need to recover. So we'll go into our Exchange Management Console and let's take our databases offline. We'll give that a second to settle in. And they should be coming down. Typically with your Exchange databases in a dismounted state, your users have no access to email and would usually start complaining quite a bit. Alright, all my stores are now dismounted. We'll go ahead and minimize that. And we'll go through Windows Explorer here. We'll go into the database volume. You can see I have my databases sitting here. We'll go ahead and delete those. I have the log volume. Alright, so we have our log files. We'll delete those as well. And then just to keep things interesting, we'll take the entire iDrive and we'll delete all of this as well. By the time all of this mad, crazy deleting is done, we've just deleted about 50 gigs worth of data. Again, nothing in the recycle bin, as you've heard from a previous video. We'll go back to the core server. We'll go into our Exchange system, go to recovery points, and we'll go to the most recent recovery point, and we'll go to rollback. Okay, here we have a couple of choices to make, whether or not we want to go back to the original machine or choose an alternate, whether we want to recover to a recovery console instance, and this is where we start to cross over into the bare metal realm. That's if this entire server were down, not just the volumes. We would use the bare metal process. We're going to cover that in a different video. We're going to choose our Exchange server, original source. We'll hit load volumes. In the load volume screen, we don't really, at this point, care about the system reserve partition or the C drive. The ones we do care about are the iDrive, the log volume, and the database volume. Right? We're just going to confirm visually that everything is mapped accordingly. Down on the bottom, we have the live recovery feature selected by default, and we have this forced dismount, which we need as well. We'll hit roll back. And on this last screen, this is mostly a confirmation screen that comes up. This is where we just see that, all of the databases are selected, and then we can check the automatically remount after rollback. Now we can hit begin rollback. Rollback has begun. We can click open monitor window, and we can watch as things begin here. So the first thing it does is it attempts to dismount Exchange and or SQL, depending on what we're restoring. It's already been dismounted because we deleted it, so that step will only take a moment. Once this completes, it now says performing rollback. Let's jump on over to the actual machine. We can watch things happen from here. You remember that checkbox that said force dismount. So what we're watching for is that force dismount to occur. Since our focus is on the iDrive, that's the last one that's actually going to be dismounted. And the dismount process only takes about, a couple of milliseconds where the volume is basically unavailable. Now if I go into computer, you'll notice that everything is coming back. Alright, so I have my database volumes, my log volume, and I have my files volume. All the data's here. More importantly, if I start refreshing, I'll see my database is coming online. Even though, again, I deleted approximately 50 gigs worth of data, my users are back to work and everything will be accessible momentarily. And you can see there goes number 2. So what exactly happened during a live recovery? How is it that I'm able to actually access this data almost instantly after a restore begins? The way it works is very simple. There is a filter driver that runs on the actual host that's being restored. And during recovery process, all right, that was it for the last of them. Now it's mounted. During the recovery process, first thing we do is transfer metadata and, just volume information. And once that completes, we start streaming the data. Now, once the first step is complete, the volumes mount, the databases mount, users have access to all data, right? How does that work? Well, when a user requests a specific block, right, and that's done through any mechanism, it could be a system or user requesting that specific block. That request traverses the I/O stack, and it goes down to the filter. The filter sits at the volume layer. So what happens next is, at the volume layer, that filter driver says, you're looking for block number X. It will look at the local volume and see if block number X has been restored. If it has, it becomes a pass-through. It hands it off, it's done. If it hasn't been restored yet, it goes back to the core server. And once it's at that core server, that request basically reprioritizes the data stream. So it finds that block and it brings that block back at the head of the stream. At the end of the day, the request is satisfied. The end user gets his data, or her. Right? That's how live recovery works. It gives you almost near zero recovery time objective because it's relatively instant. The other thing about live recovery is it can be combined with exports of systems for the virtual platforms. It can also be combined with the bare metal recovery option for physical machines.